RME is a boutique education advisory that helps aspiring students get accepted into top-tier education institutions globally for high school, undergraduate, master's, MBA, and executive.
Begin the webinar. I just want to welcome all of you, and so maybe you can all sort of give a brief introduction about yourselves, starting with Shelley.
Hi, everyone. And it's also hot and humid here in Washington, D.C. as well. So maybe we're sharing the same weather pattern. So my name is Shelley, as she mentioned. I'm the Associate Dean of MBA Admissions here at Georgetown. I've been at Georgetown for 7 years, spent my career in corporate, nonprofit, and higher ed, and the latter part of my career working at 4 different business schools. Absolutely love Georgetown, and it's a phenomenal place. Washington, D.C. is a very global city. I'm originally from Texas, a much different, part of the U.S., but I've enjoyed really my time in Washington, D.C. I'm here representing the full-time program, which most of you would be interested in. Certainly, we also have an executive and flex program, and then other different degrees as well. But I'll talk mostly about the flex MBA program at Georgetown, or the full-time MBA program.
Yeah, maybe we can have Ivan go next.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ivan. I'm with the Singapore Management University. I head the marketing and outreach for postgraduate professional programs, better known as the master's programs to many of you. So I'm with Rajneesh over here. Rajneesh is our country manager in India, so he's the go-to guy if you want someone to help advise you on options available and things to look for in our SMU programs. So with this role, I oversee the 18 postgraduate programs in SMU as far as the marketing and outreach and recruitment are concerned. And we've got programs in a whole variety of different disciplines, from accounting, law, economics, information technology, and finance and management. I think today, many of you might want to find out a little bit more about our management courses. I'll be very happy to kind of give you some of the answers or advise you along the way as to what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Shelley. This is Rajneesh here. I'm based out of Bangalore, and it's a lovely weather outside. Bangalore at this point of the year is a lovely place to be in. It's mildly sunny. You have cool breeze in the evening. Sometimes it rains in the evening. I wish I could go out now and enjoy the weather, but we are under lockdown. So I handle the India market. I work closely with Ivan. So all these 18 postgrad programs that we offer, that's my responsibility for the India market. In terms of my work experience, I've been with SMU for about 8 years now. Before that, I worked in various industries, typically in product management, analytics, sales and marketing profiles. In terms of my education background, I did BTech from IIT Bombay and then MBA from IIM Calcutta. And look forward to a fantastic event. Thank you.
Great, thank you everyone. And my name is Garima, and I'm a senior counselor with the Reach IV. I work with Reach IV to provide a host of counseling services to a lot of different sort of degrees, from UG to masters to MBA to executive education program. And I'm actually a very feeling very privileged to be on this panel, to be hearing from all of you, and especially because we have such geographical diversity on this panel today. So I also urge the panelists, make the participants to make the most of it, and if they want to direct a particular question for a particular panelist, just feel free to do so in the chat box. I just want to address one question before we move ahead. Anurama has asked, are we trying to will we be covering any UG options too, or is this panel only focused on PG management options? So Anurama will primarily be talking about PG and primarily MBA, but since there is so much overlap between sort of the application or principles that schools look for, if you have any questions, just feel free to type them in the chat box. We'll maybe try to address them as well. Great. Vedant, somebody from the team will, get back to you on your query. I request everyone to, not type in very personal queries, because it just sort of, hampers the time and, of the other participants. But, feel free to answer any sort of general or any broad, like any questions that you might have. Great. So on that note, maybe, let us start with discussing, to warm up the conversation, let us start with discussing what an MBA program at your university look like. Like, what does it look like? Is there a typical day? What is the structure maybe? What are the kind of facilities? If there's anything which is special to the program that you would like to share with the participants here. Yeah, so maybe we'll start with Shelly again.
Wonderful. Full-time MBA is a U.S. traditional full-time program. So you'll go for just short of 2 years, 4 semesters, fall, spring, of about 60 students going through the core courses together. And then the second year is almost completely electives. And with electives, you're mixed up with people from other cohorts, as well as even people from our part-time program. We don't do specializations. We have over 100 electives you can choose from, and you just pick and choose those electives that match really your skill gap. So I always tell applicants, like, think about, where your gaps are, and then fill those with the electives. And it may span over 2 or 3 subject areas. Additionally, you'll do an internship between year 1 and year 2 in the summer. And so as an international student, you'll do an internship. It's actually very easy to get an internship. You're on OPT status, your visa status. So you'll do that. People do them all over the US. Some people do internships internationally, but primarily in the US, I would say 95% of them. We do different experiences throughout the program. For example, like a global consulting experience. Near the end of your second year, every student will consult for an international client. You'll have typically 6 countries to choose from. There's about 40 projects within those 6 countries. And you're with a team of 6 students, and you're solving a problem for a client. And so you work for 6 to 8 weeks. Like, for example, when I did the executive MBA at Georgetown, we consulted for Philips in Seoul, South Korea. And so, they were launching a new healthcare product, and we developed the marketing launch strategy. And so we actually did that for 6 weeks. And then we went to the country for 1 week and presented our consulting recommendations to actually the CEO of Philips Korea. And as well as explored the culture in Korea as well. Additionally, throughout the experience, there's a lot of hands-on, ways to kind of do, projects with companies and clients, and also get involved in kind of the student experience. I think the U.S. Education system really focuses on that whole experience of leadership and case competitions, and a lot of things outside of the classroom, which is different maybe from different parts of the world and different countries. And so we do expect you to get involved, and that's part of the MBA. So so that's just a little bit about the program. Certainly I'll go into more detail in the rest of the webinar. But.
Great, thank you for that, Shelly.
All right. Yeah, so I can start with the SME MBA program, and I can pitch in with more information. So RME is a shorter duration MBA. It's about 15 months. Fairly fast-paced MBA, probably the fastest or the fast-paced MBA in Singapore. So if you look at US MBA as a benchmark, so we kind of cover about 85% to 90% conduct hours of a regular 2-year MBA in US. So you can and then there's an internship in the program. So generally, this is I would say is the USP of SME MBA program. Typically, if you see the short duration MBA like a year odd duration MBA, will not have an internship. Very few programs across the globe would have an MBA within a short duration MBA with an internship. So that's something which is very unique in SME MBA program, and the internship can go up to 8 months. So you have the flexibility. The curriculum requirement is about 10 weeks, but you could even do an internship which is as long as 8 months in the program, which is for about 10 to 15 months. Fairly experiential MBAs. In addition to internship, there's another opportunity where you do a project outside of Singapore. It's, overseas immersion program where you do a group project outside of Singapore, and then very similar to what Shelly shared. So again, we have core courses and electives. So there are 8 core courses, 10 electives. First half, or about 4 months or 5 months, is when you do the core courses. These are compulsory courses, you do together, and then you start taking the electives, and your electives and internships go together. So morning till evening, from Monday to Friday, you're working as an intern in a company. You're going to the company and working as an intern, and then evening you come back and do your classes. Not all the evenings, depending on the electives that you have taken. So and fairly small, actually. There's some similarities that I see with the Georgetown MBA program. So our class is also fairly small. Our full-time class is about 80 odd students, on an average coming from about 15 to 20 different nationalities. Fairly diversified class. It's a small cohort, so the focus is on getting as much diversity as possible in terms of the nationalities that they represent, the education background they come from, the professional background they come from. And then there's something, again, very unique that we introduced a year or two ago. There's a focus in the MBA program on the lifelong learning. So as an alum of the MBA program, you have the option to come back to the program once a year and do one module or one course free of cost for the rest of your life. So, let's say, if you take an example, let's say when you did your MBA, let's say, digital marketing wasn't there, or let's say there was no module on cryptocurrency. All right. And then, a couple of years down the line in your professional career, you realize, you need to learn a bit about cryptocurrencies, and you see the SMU MBA program actually has an elective on cryptocurrencies. So you're most welcome to come back to the school, do that course with the full-time MBA students, and get the required learning and the skills that your job requires. I'll not go further into it. I think I've taken enough time. Ivan, if you would like to add something, or maybe we'll move to the next question. Thank you.
Just maybe one more thing to add. I think our curriculum is also pretty unique in the sense that we do focus a lot on the case study method, which is quite widely used in many business schools. But what's quite unique about the MBA program that's being taught here is that many of the case studies are written by the university itself with a more Asian insight focus. So the reason being that we wanted to actually develop these business cases for our MBA students to be able to learn what are the business challenges, the leadership issues, and what are the business opportunities that would be available in this part of the world, in Asia. And that's where we see a lot of growth happening in. So that's something that would be quite unique in your takeaway for the MBA program.
Great, thank you, Evan and Rajneesh. So what I'm hearing from all of you is, this focus on experiential learning, either through a mix of internships, very hands-on project-oriented teaching, or case method of teaching. And also what I picked up was, that sort of a specific focus on Asian case studies. If you're planning to do an MBA with a focus on Asia, on emerging economies, then SMU offers that sort of unique facility of picking up case studies, or having a more direct sort of application to the Asian economies. Great, awesome. So what would be nice to also know is, what is a typical sort of class profile that you have at your business school? So how many, maybe number of years of experience, or the kind of backgrounds people come from. Having said that, I'm aware that there is no typical profile, but for the benefit of the participants, if you could talk about what kind of people typically coming to your business school.
Yeah, I can start. So you do have to have a minimum of 2 years of work experience at the time that you would start the program. So not when you at the time you start. However, most years, and I think the closer you are to that kind of 4 or 5 year range, the more marketable you are for a job post MBA, right? Because if you think about it, all MBA students, you know, in the US and across the world, they're applying for similar jobs, right? And so if you get to graduation and you're applying and competing against other people at other MBA programs, if you only have 2 years of experience and someone else that you're competing against has 5 or 6, you know, yes, you may still get the job over that other person, but you know, you're just increasing your probability of success if you have a little bit more work experience. People come from, you know, 15 different industries and majors. You know, the last time, you know, I looked, only a third of our students come from, you know, business or engineering undergraduate. So if you are not, you know, those, you're perfectly fine. If you are, that's great. You'll be probably more prepared for the quantitative coursework. And so we actually don't look at, you know, or don't prefer certain industries or undergrad majors. We like a diversity. Our program is very global, so we do, even this year amidst the pandemic last fall, we still had 42 countries coming into our program this past fall, and that's typical. So we love, you know, we love international students, we love the global diversity. I think the more that you know, if you have any experience with, you know, multinational companies or experience with other cultures or experience with diversity, I think that's where you can really help to stand yourself apart. So have you, again, is the company that you're working for, have you had opportunities to work with clients in other countries, or maybe a volunteer organization, you've worked with people from different cultures or countries? Or, you know, I think that the US in and of itself is a very, you know, melting pot, as we call it. It's a very diverse country. And so the more experiences that you have, that I think the more you'll make yourself kind of stand out from other applicants. We are looking for students who want to be involved in the community. You know, what is it that you're interested in? Do you want to be involved in a club, or, you know, do you want to work in some of the entrepreneurship initiatives? Do you want to do case competitions? Do you want to go on some of our international treks? So there's not one specific way we're looking for you to be involved, but we do want you to contribute to the greater kind of MBA experience. And then, you know, I think we also look for applicants who have shown demonstrated interest in Georgetown. The great thing now is that all of our events are virtual, right? Because the campus is closed. And so you're equal to other applicants. Even if you can't travel to Georgetown, you can attend virtual events, and that's, you know, even people that live in Washington DC are attending virtual events right now. So I would encourage you, as we still are doing them over the summer, to definitely attend them. At some point we will reopen, but that will just allow you, you know, to see, is Georgetown right for you? Certainly attend events at SMU. Like, is SMU right for you? Like, attend virtual events at all the schools that you're looking at, and try to talk with our alum and our students, because you'll either decide from that, okay, yes, I still am interested in Georgetown, or maybe through all that interaction, you'll decide, you know, maybe it's not a good fit for me. Maybe I'm a better fit for another school. So I think it shows interest to the admissions committee, but it also shows you that this is still a good decision for you.
Maybe I can start off with giving a bit of a class profile and covering some of the industries that MBA graduates work in, and then Rajneesh can go on to talk a little bit about the kind of candidates that we're looking for. Gender-wise, we're looking about the same, about 55% male, 45% female. We've got about 17 nationalities. Again, it's one of our most diverse programs coming into SMU, and definitely diversity counts for quite a bit in terms of our MBA cohort, because we value the cultural diversity as well as the different backgrounds that people are coming in from. 65% are international students across these 17 nationalities. Average age is around about 30 years old, with an average work experience of about 5.4 years. The industries that they tend to move into would be primarily in financial services, technology, and consulting. So these basically would be the profile that is currently for our MBA cohort. And Rajneesh will be able to tell you a little bit more about the applicants that we are looking for. what are some of the criteria or what we are actually on.
Thank you, Ivan. Let me go a little bit more into the profiles that we get, and specifically, let me focus on the India market, because I believe, most of you are attending from India. So, typically last few years, if I see the MBA applicants who made it to the program, the various profiles that I remember. Of course, you have engineers working in technology. That's the largest applicant pool. Then you have BCom CA working in banking and financial services. That's probably the second largest set of applicants that we get. Then a bunch of applicants who have done, let's say, 3 years. So we don't have a strict requirement that you need to have 4-year undergrad. So a lot of people have done a BBA or a BMS and these kind of programs. Interestingly, if I look at the trend, last few years I'm seeing a lot of interest from people who have worked in operations. So either in the family business or in the industry, people have, or even in a manufacturing firm, somebody who's worked in operations, and they find it a good fit, because if you look at Singapore is considered like the regional operations hub. So a lot of companies have their operations out of Singapore. So operations, supply chain, and logistics. So those kind of profiles. Last few years I've also seeing an increased interest from lawyers. So I think last 1 year, 2 year, we have had at least one person from law background from India. Very unique, and then this year, and a very interesting profile. We recently, about a month or so back, we made an admission offer to a doctor from Mumbai. Again, very interesting profiles. Now, as you would have heard, what kind of profiles look at, what are our admission criteria? Minimum 2 years of experience at the time of joining, a GMAT or a GRE score. TOEFL or IELTS is not needed if your degree was taught in English, which I presume is the case with majority of the Indian applicants. Then you have to give 2 letters of references. There's an essay question that you need to answer. And yeah, so these are your basic qualifying documents, I would say, your resume, etc. Now, your GMAT score or your essay or your LOR is not going to decide whether you make it in the program. So these are the things which the admissions committee would look at, and then if your basic documents or your preliminary documents are satisfactory, we would invite you for an interview with the AdCom. Generally, the interview is more about trying to assess the fitment from multiple perspectives. One is fitment of you as a person with the program, like maybe like a cultural fit. Second is fitment of your aspirations with what the program's objectives are. Why do you want to do an MBA? What is your career goal? What is your plan A? If it doesn't work out, what is your plan B? How will doing MBA from SMU help you in achieving those career goals? And then your fitment, like what will you bring to the class? How will we benefit by having you in the program? How will you contribute to the class? And those kind of questions. So it's the interview is about assessment. It's not like a stress interview, or not like an academic interview where we are still trying to understand whether if you've done a mechanical engineering in 5 years ago and you still don't understand your Carnot cycle. No, it's not about that, right? So it's about the fitment. Yeah, that's about it.